take one of the other, just in one example of one of the other pro-violence things going on in our society is video games. Video games give children, especially boys who are the most violent when they're adults, hour after hour of practice in hurting and killing other people. Kids are glued to these things. They I don't know how many people symbolically a typical boy is killed in a video game by the time he's 16 or 18, much less those who continue on as adults. Now, you can say, and it's quite true, most of the kids who do this are not harmed by it. They know how to deal with it. That's true, just like most people who are heavy smokers are not harmed by it. They don't die of lung cancer. But it does harm a significant effect in proportion, in my opinion. What the research shows is that the kids who are harmed are those by things like violent TV and video games, are those who are already inclined in that direction. If you have a child who has a propensity to violence, perhaps taught by corporal punishment, and you combine that with this intensive drill in violence provided by video games, that is often enough to tip the scales and push that child over the edge to actual carrying out of violent behavior. I don't mean or violent behavior in the sense of killing someone, though that does occur in the small proportion of cases, but ordinary kicking and punching and shoving, the kind of violence that goes on typically between so many men in our society.
Well, let me point out first that the peak homicide rate in the United States occurred in the 1930s before television was in the home. Television's been a cheap, easy target for the past 50 years, and what it does is it allows us to deflect any focus on the family. Oh, let's pick on TV. Let's pick on the movies. That's not good enough. Let's pick on MTV. Let's pick on video games. Well, let me think. Let me see if I have this correct. You think that if somebody watches violence on TV, they might learn to carry that act out in the real world. That if they play a game with their thumbs and their forefinger and they shoot and kill things in an arcade, they might learn to do that in the real world. That if they see Arnold Schwarzenegger blow away the whole world on a big screen, they might do that in the real world. So they're observing violence and then they go out and do it. What might happen if they observe themselves get hit by their parents? Would they learn from that? I guess they might. Same logic. But we use the scapegoat of TV, the movies, video games, MTV, that whole litany of stuff as a smokescreen to take attention away from the real culprit, which is just how much violence. I mean, imagine 100% of school children being hit by their teachers. Well, it used to happen, but it doesn't happen anymore. There's no place where 100% of the population is hit by anybody except the American family, except for kids. And if you have any concern about television or movies or MTV or videos or video games, you darn well better have some concern about what kids learn by watching and observing and experiencing their parents. I'm certainly for gun control, but I will point out that the presence of guns in the home, and there are more than 150 million guns in homes, and we only have 80 million homes, so do the math. That's almost 2 per household. What that does, it increases the lethal consequences of a violent act. It doesn't increase the possibility of a violent act. If you took guns and bullets out of the home, yeah, I mean, a drive-by stabbing probably is not going to produce a lethal result. But it's still a drive-by stabbing. It's still a violent act. You still have a violent perpetrator you have to deal with. He's just not killing someone. And I always thought the purpose of violence control was not to simply eliminate homicides, but to work with the perpetrator so the perpetrator doesn't respond to a particular stimulus with the desire to hit another human being. Taking guns out of the home doesn't deal with that perpetrator yet.